So welcome back to your R3 Life Group. This week we had the pleasure of having Isaac Smith, our district superintendent, come and teach on God's mission statement. This week's R3 is going to be a little bit different than his teaching, and that's due to his teaching schedule and the nature of his sermon delivery. And with that being said, let's dive in. In 1 Timothy, the Apostle Paul is writing a letter to Timothy, and he delivers a written charge to him. And he even prefaced this charge with, "Here is a trustworthy saying, and everyone should accept it." And if you're Timothy, if you're the one reading this letter, this is the time when you just pay attention. You hunker down, you want to know what's coming. And then he delivers this powerful statement in 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 15. It says, "Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am the worst." Now you may or may not be familiar with this verse, but this became the mission of the Apostle Paul. And when we look at God's mission statement, we can see how Paul's journey reflects it. He can write to Timothy and say, hey, what I'm about to say, it's important. Everyone should accept it. It's trustworthy because he lived it out. And if the Apostle Paul were here, he would tell us that there are three components to God's mission statement, and we as a church should know about it. The first component, it starts with the person, Jesus Christ. Before Paul was known as Paul, he was known by a different name, Saul of Tarsus. Saul was on map and on a mission, but his aim was to imprison followers of Jesus, not to serve alongside them. And this all changed on the road to Damascus. His world collided with Christ, and he was never the same. Paul beheld the power of Christ, and his life trajectory completely changed. God's mission begins with what Christ did on the cross. Second, it happens in a place, this world. After Paul regained his sight and was baptized, he immediately went out and preached all over the synagogues in Damascus. Paul was active in the here and now, and he knew that a collision with Christ leads us to go out and share with others about who Christ is and what he's done. God's mission statement is in the now. It is in the present tense. It is active and moving in this very moment. Third, it has a purpose, to save sinners. I'm sure when Timothy read, "Of whom I am the worst," he could understand why Paul would say such a thing. Paul had a haunting past. So much so that when he became a believer, the rest of the disciples were scared to meet with him. And in verse 16 he shares, "But God had mercy on me so that Christ could use me as a prime example of his great patience with even the worst of sinners." There isn't a gap wide enough that could separate anyone from the love of God. God's mission statement is to save. No one is out of God's reach, no matter their condition. Welcome to Reflect. What is your mission statement? Imagine if you're sitting in an interview and this question came up. How would you respond? You'd probably start thinking about your values, your accomplishments, or your aspirations, what you want to do in life. I know I would. Go ahead and take some time to try to formulate an answer, and we're going to embark on a special activity. Here are some mission statements from some large corporations, and let's see if you can figure them out. Hopefully you fared well in the activity. You see, every viable corporation has a mission statement. It helps keep everyone on board and on task to reach the ultimate goal. And when we align ourselves to God's mission statement, we unite as a people and as a church. We stay on task. We stay on goal. We stay on map. And when the church unites, amazing things happen. Amazing things like this video. So check it out. Okay, so you can just look
look at me and tell me the story. So give us the circumstances as to how you came about having a car.
Well, I am newly a single mom, not even just a single mom. I was using my friend's car because she got a new one and basically needed her other car back. So I needed to get one to get to my appointments for the baby and for my son. And then I came to church one day. I was sitting here basically wondering why I was here. It was the Simple Life series. Pastor Phil was talking about getting rid of stuff and donating, and now I'm sitting there thinking, I can't do this. I have nothing to give. And he said that people donate cars, and that was my aha moment. And I thought about it. I almost walked out without saying anything, and then I walked past Pastor Phil. I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just wait. And then Pastor Will was holding the door, so I talked to him and asked if he had anyone that had a car or anything they were willing to donate, and he said they did for a couple weeks, that they'd been waiting for someone. So it took about 2 weeks, but I was blessed with a vehicle that is mine, free and clear, don't have to worry about it. And that's my blessing. It's fantastic.
And that's just one story. We get to take part of these special moments because we are on target with our mission at the Ransom. And that's to worship free of inhibition, live free of sin, and serve free of self. When we live out God's mission statement, it gives us insight to what God is calling us to do. So what is your personal mission statement? It could be, I stand in the gap for the brokenhearted. Or, I will run a business that puts family first, pours into employees, and gives generously. Give it some thought. Paul had a mission statement. It was to reach every Gentile for his name's sake, and look at the impact he had in his world. Welcome as we take time to react on this message. This week's challenge? Develop your mission statement. Some of you may already have words and phrases that come to mind, and that's fantastic. I would encourage you to take time this week and ask the Lord to help formulate these thoughts into a clear and simple statement. If you're like me and may struggle to formulate a thought, I'd like to encourage you to take the time to ask the Lord to help direct your thoughts and awaken the desires that He has placed inside of you. It could also require you to take a look at your current life trajectory and see if it coincides with God's mission statement. When you live out God's mission statement, it brings focus to what He is asking you to do on earth with the time He has given you. That's it for your R3. Have an incredible week, be blessed, and I'll see you next week. It's recording.
You should just take a picture of me and just flash it on there for a frame.
Well, welcome to your R3. Welcome to your R3 life group.
Hey.
I'm Phil Wiseman.
Idiots. What idiots. Nice.
The Apostle Paul, he would tell us that there are three major components to God's mission statement, he would tell us. And imagine if you're sitting in an interview and you're asked this question. You're asked. This question came up. You say it enough and it makes you go crazy.